Making your own vegetable garden can be a soothing, serene type of experience, connecting back with Mother Earth, making food to sustain yourself on. All of those things can bring you great joy and calm. Well, does Soiled do all of that? Stick around after break to see how it plays, and then after that, I will let you know if I think it does do those things. Alrighty, here we have Soiled set up. You're going to create a supply with your water tokens, your growth tokens, and your pest tokens. I will say this is a prototype copy. Stuff is subject to change. You're going to shuffle your deck right here in the middle. You're going to deal each person 5 cards. You're going to have your calendar here starting on January. We'll show you how the first player shows in a minute. Each person will get a legend card and a turn card. On the back of the turn card is a playing area, but I just have an extra one set up here so it's easy for you to see. Last part set up is you flip this over, revealing a vegetable, and then whoever is the last to eat that vegetable goes first. In this instance, we'll just say it's me, as I am the one playing the game to you. Alright, your playing area is set up into 3 zones, as you can see here. You have a full sun, a partial sun, and a full shade. You can have 2 plants in each area. On your turn, you are going to do one of 3 actions, as denoted here. You can plant. To plant, you're going to take a seed from your hand and put it down in front of you. As you can see, you have the partial sun, full shade, and full sun. We are going to put down our corn. We put that in our full sun area. Then you'll see an icon down here when you do the specific action. In this instance, plant. You will do the action denoted there. In this instance, you may plant another seed from your hand. So we'll just say put out the cabbage. So that was one action you can do. Another action you can do is to compost. You have an icon right here that looks like a mound of dirt with a trowel going into it. What happens when you compost is you discard the card from your hand or from your garden and then do the ability. This is discard 3 random cards from an opponent's hand if I did that. Next thing you can do is you can water. You can take a water from the supply and water one of your plants. Some of them have these little water drops on them, which means when you do the water action on them, you'll trigger that. The corn is you may water another plant in your garden. The cabbage, if I water this, I get to draw a card. So we'll just do water, water, and see as we're watering, then we draw a card. Another thing you can do is discard. If you have at least 3 cards in your hand, you can discard your hand to take a growth token and put it on one of your plants. You can harvest. Once a plant is fully grown and fully watered, you can harvest it, which means you're going to take it, put all the tokens back in the supply, turn it face down, and put it off to your basket to score points at the end of the game. Some cards have these little pruning shear icons. When you harvest it, you'll get that. So the cabbage, when I harvest him, I am going to gain an action. Another action you can take is there's these cloche cards. You can put the cloche card onto one of your plants, and this is going to protect it from any negative effects. You're going to discard this instead. The last thing you can do is pesticide, herbicide. If you have a pest on one of your plants, you can just get rid of it. Or if you have a weed that's been planted into your garden by your opponent, you can simply remove it. Weeds are one of the ones you actually plant in your opponent's. So this says plant in an opponent's empty garden plot. So I just take this and put it there, and it's worth negative points at the end of the game. Plus it takes up a spot in their garden. After you're done doing your 3 actions, you are going to draw back up till you have 5 cards in hand. Once everyone has taken a turn, you are then going to place a growth marker on every plant that is able. The first player passes, and then this moves to the next month. 2 instances you will not grow. If my cabbage had a pest on it, it would not be allowed to grow. The other thing is, right now it needs 4 water. If it had 5 water, which means it'd be overwatered, instead of growing, you would simply remove one of the extra water. You're going to be playing until December. After December, you are going to add up the points that are in your basket. Certain cards will have a basket icon on them. There we go, the Brussels sprouts. This has a basket icon on it. That means that has to do with end of game scoring. In this instance, the Brussels sprouts is minus 3 points for every partial sun plant in your garden basket. That's it. At the end, most points win. Let's move on to thoughts. All right, so there you go. That is a brief overview of how you play Soiled. So, what is interesting about this game? Well, the fact is that you only get 3 actions per turn. There's only 12 rounds in the game. So you only get 36 actions in essence. So trying to maximize those by getting the right vegetables out. And then by using certain vegetables where you put them, you might be able to trigger those actions so that you don't have to waste one of your 3 on that. Like, there's quite a few where if you water this vegetable, then water up to 2 more vegetables. So, all right, cool. That can get that chain reaction. Then certain ones that when you water them, do something else. So you can go, all right, so I'm going to water this one. And by watering this triggers that. So being able to have that cool cascading effect through is really satisfying and not something you would normally expect from like these small box games with the vegetables and the whole gardening theme. Because typically your gardening themes are kind of more relaxing and serene. And this one is more cerebral, more strategic, more kind of mitigating. All right, so here's this, and oh, my opponent's getting too far here, so let's kind of slow them down by giving them a weed or a pest or something to that effect, because now they have to use an action or have the proper vegetable card to be able to remove that stuff. And even with that whole pseudo, basically take that element, which was what gave us a little trepidation going into this game, because we typically are not fans of take that mechanisms, but it's the fact that it usually isn't killing or game changing or just completely messes you up, because it all it's going to do is possibly take away an action from you because you have to remove that thing. And some of them, all right, it's on there, but it's not going to affect me this turn, so I'll just let it wait till next turn when I can hopefully do something about it. So it's not this completely horrible thing that's going to devastate your garden. It's like a minor inconvenience. So the take that mechanism is there and can't necessarily be avoided, but it also isn't one of those that is going to completely hamper your plan or completely blow up everything on you. It's just going to cause possibly a little like diversion away from what you're doing. Or as I said, there's plants that you can do that take care of that for you. So you can do that in addition to doing something else. So that is a really nice balancing mechanism that they have in here, is that it's hard to completely obliterate someone's garden unless I think everyone teams up on that, which I can't speak to because we did only play this with 2 players as we are wont to do. But like, yeah, you can't really blow someone's garden up unless that's your entire focus. Well, if that's your entire focus, then that means you didn't optimize your garden or your crops this turn either. So you have to do that balancing act. And that is something that's cool because you can go into those different strategic levels. You can go where I'm going to go with all these mean plants and hinder you, and then I'm going to try and work on my garden as you're unhindering yourself. Or, you know, I'll bother you when I need to, but I'm going to focus on my own little vegetables here. The fact that the vegetables do have a wide variety of powers. There's one that it doesn't even take a spot in your garden, so you could be working on like 7 things at a time. And that is just kind of crazy, because then you have this little one over here, kind of like your little herb garden. And then the ones, like I said, that if you water this, that triggers here. Then when you trigger this, then you can draw more cards. And just kind of manipulating back and forth that way. Another thing that draws us in is the cute artwork. It's got these fun pictures of making the plants with the faces and the mouths, and it's a type of artwork that we personally enjoy and find cute. You'll have been seeing it as it's been streaming around. And the other key aspect of the gameplay in this one that Bri is still trying to get her head around as we play, and I'm really starting to come around and figuring it out, is managing what you have come the later game. Because, you know, you don't want to be banking on that last growth action, because you're not going to be able to harvest anything at the end of December. So going in from November to December, you need to hopefully have a plan to finish out all of those cards that you have in front of you Otherwise, those were wasted plots. Those were wasted resources of putting the water and stuff on there. So really being able to try and mitigate and manage when you're going to put plants out. So like looking like, all right, well, this is going to need 4 growth and 3 water. So it's going to be hard to get this grown if I plant it in October. So this may be something that I sacrifice for something else. Or if it's buku points, you're going to want to put it out and then really focus everything on there, but then you're going to neglect your other cards. So then kind of having that strategic depth of trying to figure out when am I going to put the cards out and make sure and plan. And then just hope that your opponent doesn't give you that pest at the last minute that kind of messes up that plan, but it is that ability to have that cool plan going there. So it's not just a game where, oh, I'm going to play it and it's going to be, no strategy whatsoever. We're just playing cards. There is a strategic depth here that you will notice after your first, second, third play of, oh, I wasn't able to get those cards grown, so I didn't get on those like 10, 12, 15 points that I planned to do when I got crushed. So it does kind of force your hand to plan, like mid-game, you have to plan for end-game. Because you can't just make it up as you go along, because if you are, you're going to end up with a garden full of plants at the end and not many points. So that is what our thoughts are on Soiled. It's got some take that elements that cannot be avoided but are not too punishing. There is quite a bit of strategic depth and think ahead planning that you need to do as you go through with it. And the artwork is really cool if you like those personable, anthropomorphic vegetables. Oh, that's weird for me to say because normally you think of anthropomorphic animals. But I guess it would be kind of anthropomorphic vegetables with the mouths and the eyes. Anyway, so those are the things that we liked about Soiled. If any of that stuff interests you, there will be a link to the campaign down below. Go ahead and check it out. While you're down there, you can go ahead and give this channel a like, a subscribe. You can comment on the video. Let me know which vegetable you thought was the cutest or the scariest. Either way, I would like to know. Also, ring the bell so you can be alerted to when we do more previews of crowdfunding games, playthroughs, unboxings, or the various other things that we do upon this channel. You also can try and look for our podcast, Musings of the Mick. I am that Mick, where podcasts are found. Thank you for watching. Now get digging.